Guys, we have some ebooks and e-courses you can learn French with, but first,
make sure you try our free e-course at StreetFrench.org.
Salut tout le monde!
Salut!
So today we're going to be talking about the French mistakes you made. We selected a bunch of comments you left on some videos, and they're really funny and we really wanted to share. And before we start, we wanted to talk about our free e-course that is back again on our website. We were redoing it and revamping it to make it better.
Yeah. It's free. You know, it's a lot of techniques that I teach my beginning French students.
Yeah.
It's just how to make the language easier. And I think a lot of times people, they make speaking French more complicated than it needs to be. So I came up with some techniques to make it easier for French students. So yeah, go ahead and try that.
Yeah. Let's start with this. One thing I didn't know before doing my exchange semester in France is that it's very rude to say bonjour more than once to the same person on the same day. I knew that saying bonjour was very important, so at first I just kept saying it, thinking that I was being extra polite. Oh yeah. So it's funny because we talked about it. We said that in French you really have to say bonjour, merci, au revoir when you go to a store or anywhere usually.
Yeah, in French culture it's really rude if you don't say bonjour.
Yeah. So I guess he remembered that, but at work he would say hello to someone like more than once a day. Is that rude in English too?
Nah.
Is that considered? Because in French it's like, okay, we like, did you forget me already? Like we just.
Oh, that's what it's like.
It's like, but like we just talked. Like you can't remember my face. Like that's how it come out.
Yeah.
In French we have a slang word for children. We say les gosses. It's kind of, it's not vulgar, but it's like you don't say that to everyone. Like you don't say that in every situation. Like I wouldn't say "oh les gosses" to my boss. You know, it's a little bit like vulgar, but
it's like slang. Like yeah.
And someone said that les gosses is a continuous source of hilarity between France, where it means children, and Quebec, where it means testicles. So I guess it's slang for testicles. So that's funny. I guess that's a little tip. If you go to Quebec, don't use that word.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting how different countries. I mean, like the same word can mean something totally different in different French-speaking countries.
Yeah, especially slang. Like you don't know where it comes from or how they ended up being that word. I don't know. It's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway. Lol. I can't say it in English. Lol.
Laugh out loud.
How do you say it?
We just say laugh out loud.
You don't say lol?
Or like we say LOL.
Oh, you say lol.
Oh yeah, in French you gotta say lol.
On dit lol, ouais.
Oh, okay.
Ou LOL, non, lol. So yeah, lol. I made that exact mistake my first time in France, telling my friend about the cute cat that was wandering around the restaurant where I had lunch. She burst out laughing and explained that it's the same as in English. So instead, I should say un chat, une femelle, if I wanted to specify its gender. Then here was the time I was talking about twinks. Oh, I'm gay. And instead of je préfère les ours et les minets ne m'intéressent pas, I said je préfère les ours et les minous ne m'intéressent pas. Ce qui est vrai aussi, mais bon, elle était pliée de rire. Okay, so I guess those were two stories. So the first part, he was commenting on our video where we were talking about the word chat, how it means female cat. It's just like in English, like the female cat, like the word. The P word is like a little bit tricky, right?
Yeah, it's like...
So it's the same in French. Some people disagree with us. Like in the comments, we saw a lot of people saying, oh, I say it all the time.
I mean, if you're a veterinarian, like if you really have to specify this is a female cat, like it works. But if you're like with people like in a social setting, and you know, for me personally, I just avoid it. I don't know, it feels bad when you say something and like you have a bunch of like native speakers laughing at you. It's just like a personal thing. Like I just avoid this word.
Or like you don't know how you can make the other person feel or whatever. I don't know. Sometimes you can be fine with it and the person in front of you is like super awkward with that word. I don't know. It's just it doesn't matter. We just don't say it. Some people do apparently. I often hear people say un chat, even like my parents or like older generations. Like it doesn't.
They'll say un chat. They won't say
un chat or I don't know. We were watching something. I don't know what it was. a documentary or something on, I don't know, and we saw like someone say that.
Yeah, mistakes are cool because, you know, when you make this, you might always remember that story, and you will probably, you might never make that mistake again. Right. Just because like this funny thing happened. And,
yeah. That's true. I told French children that American food is full of preservatives. Oh, didn't get to babysit those kids again. Oh, that's a good one.
But so that means condom in French.
In French. How do you say faux ami?
Like a false friend.
Is it the same?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, it's a false friend. So it's really a really similar word, préservatif and preservative.
Yeah.
But préservatif means condom. So. Yeah, so I guess the word in French would be conservateur. Conservateur. So ça conserve la nourriture.
So yeah, my friend wanted to say that she had worked as a waitress, so she said j'étais serviette. Yeah.
That's a cute one. It's okay, it's not too bad. But yeah, I guess the word is serveuse. Serveuse. It is kind of similar.
I'm Argentinian, and many Spanish speakers like myself don't make any difference between the V and the B sound. We pronounce both like B, and it's very common to pronounce vite like beat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, that's a problem. Yeah, this one's kind of tricky. You really need to practice saying the V sound.
Yeah, or avoid those two words or something.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess you can say rapide instead of vite, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe some of you guys made some little mistakes, and bigger things like that make you feel a little bit better. I don't know, because at least you can pronounce those letters.
Yeah. Yeah, depending on who you say this to, I mean, it might be a problem.
Yeah. Let's see. My wife told me how when she first moved to France that they had a problem with the water. It was running cold even though the pipes seemed to be warm. When the landlord came over, she explained using her best guess. L'eau est froide, mais mes pipes sont chaudes. Great consolation, I guess. Okay, so the word she's looking for is not pipe, it's tuyau. Tuyau is pipes, and pipe is slang for, I guess BJ. So yeah, that's a bad one. But I'm sure he laughed anyway.
Yeah.
Great consolation, I guess.
So I heard that you cannot use introduire when introducing someone to someone else because it has a sexual meaning. Yeah, it means to like insert something into...
I guess it's another false friend because you say introduce.
Yeah, definitely.
And in French, it's totally different. It really means to like, insert.
Yeah, so the word she's looking for is présenter. Like to present someone to someone else, like when meeting, right?
Yeah.
Like, je te présente Maïa.
Ouais, c'est ça. Ou alors, you can say, on s'est pas présenté, moi c'est Maïa.
Oh yeah, really
toi,
good. Yeah, definitely.
We use that a lot.
Yeah, especially if you're moving to France, you can, that's a good one to know for when you're like meeting new people.
So yeah, don't say introduire for. Yeah, that's weird. I love these faux amis between English and French. I was a jeune fille au pair in France in my teens. I had a haircut that was too short and I hated it. Finally, though, my hair had grown enough to scrape it back into a ponytail. Delighted, I bounced into the kitchen where the grandmother of the family was drinking coffee. She was very nice but very refined and comme il faut. Okay. Voyez, madame, I said excitedly, j'ai un cul de cheval. She just pissed herself laughing. Finally, she managed to tell me that I actually had une queue de cheval and not, as I told her, a horse's ass. Yeah, so here it's a pronunciation little mistake. It's queue and cul.
Yeah, people get this mixed up with like cool, like oh c'est cool.
Oh, c'est cool.
Yeah, sometimes people say too much like oh c'est cute. Like,
oh, really? Oh, that's funny. Yeah. I guess it's very, to me, like that's so like those
so
sounds
obvious.
those sounds are so different.
Yeah.
But I guess depending where you come from, like e et u, it's like this pretty much the same sound.
Yeah. To English speakers, it sounds the same. it's gonna take like a few years of hearing that.
Yeah.
Like really, like even when I was doing my master's program, there were people, especially like beginner students, who couldn't tell the difference so much between like U and U.
Oh yeah, I guess it's three sounds. It's U, E, U.
Yeah.
Right? U, E, U.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tricky. But yeah, I guess
Yeah, that's why it's so important to hear French a lot. And it's not something that's gonna come right away. It's gonna take years, probably, depending on what language you speak, for you to differentiate those three sounds. Don't feel bad if you don't get it. Like I said, it's gonna take a while.
Right.
Like my phonetics teacher, she was saying it's gonna take a while. Like you'll get used to it, but it'll come. Yeah, which reminds me, we have an e-course about French pronunciation, and it simplifies a lot of things and just makes it a little bit easier to understand. You can also check that out on our site. Yeah, for the last one, it kind of plays off of the one that came before it, but it's probably my favorite mistake in French. It's really good.
Yeah. So someone said merci beaucoup et le conducteur a répondu merci, je reçois pas assez de compliments. So I guess she wanted to say merci beaucoup. So again, that U and OU difference, right? And beaucoup means, of course, nice ass. Yeah. So I guess it's not a, like, you see how he reacted. He kind of like joked around with it. He didn't get mad or
that's kind of the theme of today's video, is like pronunciation and how just saying something wrong, like just the tiniest bit wrong, could really change the meaning, and it could be another word.
And at the end it's not such a big deal, because usually the person who you're talking to is not gonna be offended or triggered or mad, or like who's gonna judge you, or it's just like part of life. Like you can't avoid making mistakes. Like I make mistakes speaking English all the time, like because it's not my my main language. I don't know. So it's normal. I think most people that I've come across, they like admire someone who's trying to speak in another language. Yeah, totally.
Especially someone who tries to learn French. It's not easy to learn French. And I think a lot of French people understand that, and
Yeah, definitely. Like to us, it's like really impressive when we see someone who learned French, and he didn't learn when he was a kid, but just like by himself or later on in life. And he gets fluent, or he can hold a conversation. We know how French is like tricky and difficult, even for us.
Yeah,
like,
sometimes
our language,
French people even make mistakes.
All the time. Definitely. So it's definitely impressive. Like, I don't know, I would say that too.
Well, if you guys have any other funny mistakes that you'd like to share with us, let us know down in the comments, and maybe we'll make a part 2.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Okay.
Bye-bye.